So will Donald Trump bring in the National Guard and other federal authorities to Chicago to control the violence? I think he will. But it's going to cause a major amount of trouble. It's different from D.C. because the federal government runs the District of Columbia, where Chicago is part of the state of Illinois. Illinois has authority, Springfield, over Chicago. But that'll work itself out in the courts. The right thing to do is to stop the murder in Chicago. Let me repeat. I'm the president. I do the right thing. You got to stop the mass killing. The people who run Chicago do not care about stopping the mass killing at all. That's Pritzker, the governor, and Johnson, the mayor. They are ideological people. They live in a bubble of progressive ideology. They are not problem solvers. Okay. So in the last 5 years in Chicago, nearly 4,000 human beings have been murdered. 84% of them black. 4,000. Okay. Now that alone in America, that should never, ever happen. Over this Labor Day weekend, ready for these stats? Okay. 61 people in Chicago were shot. 61. 9 dead, 52 injured. Any arrests for any of the 61 shootings? No, not one arrest. Nobody got arrested. Now, this is, when you say, well, where are the police? The system to protect Chicagoans who are vulnerable has collapsed. There is no order in the poor neighborhoods of Chicago. None. And if you are a killer, you will get away with murder. There's a million reasons why. Police department is undermanned. The city council undermines punishment. It goes on and on and on and on. It's a lot. Same here in New York, where I am. Same in LA, San Francisco. It's all progressive stuff. But the fact remains that you have people being gunned down on a daily basis, and the politicians won't stop it. So who's going to stop it? So on July 23rd, 2020, 5 years ago, here's what I said. Go.
You stop it by moving in the National Guard. That's how you stop it. Now, you don't have to keep them there forever, but you reorganize your policing in those neighborhoods. And once the Guard is there, the people will feel protected and come forward, and maybe you get a coalition of religious people and civic people, and they put pressure. Everybody knows who these drug gangs are. It's like they don't know them. They know.
Okay, that was 5 years ago. Nothing was done. So because it was Biden. You know, Trump had a little window, but he chose not to do it. I discussed it with President Trump in his first term. Okay, he asked my opinion about it, and I gave it to him. There it was. And Biden couldn't care less. He didn't even, know anything. So Trump deployed the National Guard in D.C., another chaotic mess. On August 11th, here's what happened. So far, about 1,500 arrests, okay? 156 illegal guns seized. Year-to-date comparisons since the National Guard went in, 40% drop in violent crime. 40%. 82% drop in carjackings. 11% drop in property crime. Even the progressive mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, says, hey, this has worked. The Washingtonians are more protected and feel safer. And it's the truth. Now, you won't hear the truth from the Washington Post or from and most of the television networks. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say Trump's a fascist, he's a dictator, the same old garbage. Okay, so what has to happen now is a message. And I think President Trump's going to send a message that if you are an elected official anywhere in this country and you put your own people in danger, You put your own people in danger. The federal government's going to step in and protect those people. Roll the tape.
Either you support the Constitution or you do not. And this president has literally trampled on the sensibility of what our democracy is all about. And so, you know, the city of Chicago, I can tell you this emphatically, we are not going to accept or nor are we calling for the occupation of our city by federal troops.
There are people who live in our communities. There are neighbors. There are friends. And we now have a president and a federal government that's going after them, hunting people down and disappearing them off the streets. Men with masks are grabbing people off the streets and taking them away. And that's just shameful.
Okay. So then those are the two that are responsible for the chaos. Pritzker's talking about, of course, ICE agents, because they will accompany the National Guard in there, because some of the violent criminals in Chicago, as with every other city, are illegal migrants. But you have two men who simply saying, we're just not going to do it. Okay. If Mayor Johnson interferes in any way with Donald Trump and the federal government's intrusion, because it is, into Chicago, have him arrested. Arrest him. Now, maybe Johnson wants to get arrested. Maybe he wants to be a martyr. Okay? But again, this is about sending a message. Pritzker, he's too shrewd to do that. Okay? He's going to try to parlay this, like Newsom, same thing, into a presidential run. That's what he's trying to do. All right, so summing up, this situation in Chicago should have been dealt with 5 years ago when I said what I said about the National Guard. It was ignored, okay, by Biden administration. And now there are what? Another 2,300 dead or what? I mean, it's staggering. And that, you know, the poor people in Chicago, they're never going to rise up. They're never going to support Trump because they are brainwashed. They live in a bubble. They can't step back and see the destruction that these progressives are heaping upon their own neighborhoods and their own families. And that's the memo.